I need a new furnace, okay? So I got like 2 quotes. This guy comes over, and I don't know, like I made sure I looked more masculine than normal, like because this guy was in my basement. And so I made sure I had work clothes on. I didn't look pastory, right? Okay, so I went down in the basement, and this guy, I'm asking like intelligent, I have a clue how this works question. It's a little more complicated. I'm not going to get into it. And the guy gets to the end, and he's explained, the procedure of work that they want to accomplish. He goes, where can I email an estimate, a quote to you later on this afternoon? I said, okay, Nick, and he writes down Nick at, and I said, The Village. He goes, The Village. And I go, Christian Church. And he goes, I'm really sorry for the cuss words I said. And there was no joking. We were done with the quote. The pen was down. And I was still concerned about like a negotiation that was happening. And I said, it's no problem, man. It's just you and I. It's no big deal. People find out you're a pastor and they're like, hey, watch your mouth. They've never heard a cuss word before. As if, now get this, think about the logic behind that. As if by you changing your language, you somehow made yourself better represented with me, and I'll put an in with God for you. Do you know how anti-gospel that is? I mean it. Do you know how backwards? And that's how most of our theology operates. You better clean it up on the outside, or somebody might know what's on the inside. It's backwards. It's somewhere we got off course on what the good news of Jesus was. Man, if I could have that guy back over in my basement. I don't care about your mouth. I care about your heart. Do you know why? This is not an easy thing for me. Do you know why my mouth needs to change? And why yours should? Because you might be the only depiction somebody sees of Jesus today. And so in everything that we do, I want to represent him with everything I've got. And so it's less about words. It's more that nothing unwholesome come out of me. I don't want there to be any shade of gossip. I don't want there to be any like resemblance of just like ill-fitting nastiness in me. Because out of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I want to point everybody to Jesus. I'm not concerned about getting this guy to talk different. I'm concerned about his eternity. Jesus said, you're praising me with your lips, but your hearts are far from me. And there's a new way of doing things where God pursues you. And there's no hiding from him. He's after you. You know what God's why was? It's really simple. If you've had any familiarity with the church, you've grown up here in John 3:16, maybe even John 3:17. For God so loved the world. That's you. That's me. That's your neighbor. That's the person that you think is the farthest from. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever would believe in him shall not perish but have eternal life. This is the part that we need to say more. For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. You know what the why was for Jesus as he approached the cross and knew the suffering that awaited him and knew what he was going to suffer physically? Hebrews 12:2 said, we fix our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, for the joy set before him. What was the joy that was set before him? What was his why? It was reconciling you to the Father. I will pay your debt. I will blot out your sin. I will make you in right standing through me.